What's up, everybody? This is The Run. Thank you for tuning in with Manny Wilson. This Sunday was great. Just flat out, I enjoyed watching these games. It was some crazy, shocking games. My predictions was quite off a little bit, but it was... Let's explain. So instead of talking about it, I'm going to just get straight into it. So for this Vikings game, I picked Green Bay to win. But the Vikings and Green Bay, they tied at 29. When I watched this game, I noticed how sweet Kirk Cousins was. You got to give a man his credit. He had a hell of a game. And he was straight letting it rip all game. And because his team was coming back from a deficit most of the game, he just looked so much better. The Vikings have so much more of a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl or even winning the Super Bowl. They got a good defense already. And now they got a better quarterback than what they had when they originally had Case Keenum. But that changed this season, obviously. Now back to the game. Kirk Cousins threw for 425 and 4 TDs. Both offenses were going crazy, so no disrespect to Aaron Rodgers. He did his thing as well. Even to give him more credit, not an excuse, he did play on a bad knee, I believe it was. I think it was a bad knee. But he played on a bad knee, and he still had a great game. Still was throwing great passes, and still kept his team in a chance of winning. They had multiple opportunities to win, to be honest. If you watch the game, you know what I'm talking about. Green Bay, they couldn't connect on the red zone. That's really what killed them. And they had to settle for a lot of field goals. Their kicker, Mason Crosby, had 5 field goals. He had 15 points out of the 29. They should have won in the fourth with that very last field goal. But the Vikings coach called the timeout immediately, probably not even a second before Crosby kicked it. And that was the field goal he made to give them the lead. But because he called the timeout, it had to get called back. And the guy had to re-kick it. And it was an amazing game. And he had to re-kick it. He missed. So the game went into OT. But meanwhile, the Vikings, they scored 4 TDs, making the game close. But they couldn't make any field goals. The Vikings kicker was 0-3 kicking field goals. It was just a big mess. And the whole time I'm watching it, I'm just waiting for the Packers to pull it off. And Vikings had times to pull it off. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm about to be wrong. Oh, there it is. And he missed. The kicker kept missing. So it was crazy to watch. I enjoyed that game. It was very entertaining. But the game truly came down to defense. And both sides of the team clearly wasn't ready for the game to be over. It was a great game. But that was tied at 29. So my pick wasn't too bad off from what I expected. I said Green Bay was going to win, but they tied. Now for the Steelers and the Chiefs. I had the Steelers going on this one. I had them getting the dub. But the Chiefs, they ended up pulling it off. It was 42-37. The Steelers won. I was completely mind blown. I did not know this man Patrick Mahomes was that sweet. It caught me by surprise. I'm a huge fan of watching Patrick Mahomes now. Week 1, I thought it was okay. Maybe this guy just, basic luck. Or basic, it's his first game. They don't know what he's going to do, so whatever. But this dude was going off against the Steelers. I just couldn't help but to jump a little bit on this bandwagon. Now, not the Chiefs bandwagon. I'm not the Chiefs fan. And let's get that straight. I'm not a Chiefs fan. But to jump on the Patrick Mahomes bandwagon, he's pretty sweet. He threw for 20. His percentage was 23 for 28 passing attempts. 23 for 28. He threw for 326 yards and 6 TDs. Man, he was going crazy. I was loving it. Every second of it. He got a gun on him. Now, I don't know what the Steelers was doing the first half, but they were getting lit up. Man, they couldn't do anything. Offense wasn't working. Defense wasn't working. It was just pitiful to watch. And I kind of realized earlier in the game, Steelers like to dig themselves a big hole before they strike. In the first half, I think they dug themselves a hole like 21-0. And then the second quarter, that's when they decided to try and come alive. And I'm watching it thinking to myself, this is almost too late. You can't win Super Bowls playing like this. And the Chiefs, they held it down. When the Steelers were trying to strike back and come back and even the score, they did, but obviously they didn't do enough to pull off the game. Maybe if they would have played good in the first quarter and woke up immediately as the game started, then things would have been different. It would have been a different outcome. So I wasn't really too upset about my outcome that I predicted the Steelers to win. That's what they do. They obviously couldn't stop Mahomes. That man was going crazy. I'm a big fan of his now all of a sudden. It was a great game to watch. I did mention on my predictions, that both teams rely heavily on large plays. The Chiefs, we all knew the Chiefs got great athletes on their offensive end, but the Steelers' defense just played so horribly. At one point in the game, they made the Steelers look like they were the best team in the league. They had me fooled for a minute, and they got some great athletes, so I enjoyed this game. It was very active, and it was very entertaining, I should say. But overall, my pick was wrong. I went with the Steelers. Chiefs ended up winning at 42-37. Now, for this next game, the Giants and the Cowboys. Man, I was hurt about this one. I really thought the Giants was going to pull it off. They ended up losing to the Cowboys 20-13. The Cowboys honestly came out and just dominated. It was another case of domination. They had the Giants defense looking silly. They ran all over them. Even the offense was looking silly at one point. The Cowboys came straight after Eli Manning. I think the dude gave up like 6 sacks, and he fumbled once. They was not protecting the football at all. I watched this game completely stunned at the way the Giants retaliated to the Cowboys' game plan. I did not expect them to get punched in the mouth that bad. As the game went on, I'm expecting Eli Manning or other players to strike. I remember mentioning how I said Saquon Barkley's going to have a field day. Odell Beckham's going to have a field day. Yeah, that did not happen. It was completely different. It was the opposite of what I expected. I expected Giants to be the team having a field day, and it was the Cowboys. They were running everywhere. Dak was running. Ezekiel Elliott was running. It was entertaining. I loved it. It was great. Now, the thing that really defeated the Giants was that the Cowboys never let them get into a rhythm. Yeah, make a few plays, get a few first downs, but they would never get a rhythm. They couldn't get an offensive flowing. And when you got players like that, they kind of got to get in a rhythm and be able to spark something up. I don't think they actually scored a touchdown until the fourth quarter. It was a complete opposite of what I predicted. But the Cowboys won, so I give them credit on that. They look really good, to be honest. So next week is going to be entertaining, and I look forward to seeing what's going on with the Cowboys next week. But my pick ultimately was wrong. The Giants ended up losing, and the Cowboys won 20-13. And for my last pick, I had the Patriots and the Jaguars. I did call this game correctly. Blake Bortles, I'm telling y'all got to give this man some credit, just a little bit. He had his swagger out there. I don't care what anybody say. Blake Bortles, he was running the ball a little bit. He was throwing it. He looked pretty good to me. People clown him all the time. Oh, it's Blake Bortles. Stop it. It's Blake Bortles. He's not going to lead them anywhere. But the way he was looking to me, he looked like he got some ways to go. He looked like he can take them a few ways. In the fourth quarter, he went up. I think he went heads up with the few DBs. And I looked at it. Was pretty stupid, of course, because you're a quarterback. Why are you trying to go heads up with a defensive player in general? Honestly, you're a quarterback. Just take the slide and keep moving. But seeing him do that, it made me realize it made me excited. I'm like, this man is going for all blood. He's trying to crush the New England Patriots. He was balling. And even if you take a look at the numbers, he threw for 377, 4 TDs, 64 completion rate. That's not a bad game. His team was leading 21-3 at the half. The defense, of course, showed up with Jalen Ramsey and all the other good people on there. They, of course, showed up. But the Pats defense couldn't keep up. Brady popped up. He did his part. His team had to get involved for a minute, but he did his part overall. Jacksonville came out to play, just as I predicted. They came out to play, came for blood, and was making sure they were going to get a dub when the Patriots came to their house. The defense locked them up. Jacksonville's defense, or should I say Saxonville's defense. I don't believe they got any sacks on them, or they might have got a few. But Saxonville's ate them up. Their offense played good. They were 10 for 14 on third down conversions. Look at the Patriots' third down conversions, 4 for 12. They couldn't really get anything going, but the Jags came out, handed it to them just as I predicted, and they ended up getting that dub, 31-20. That's all I have for you guys today. I will be back with another video about the latest news around the NFL. There's been some wild things going on. Vontae Davis was retiring at halftime, and out of nowhere, just quit in the middle of the game. It's many more to come. But in the meantime, be sure to follow me on Twitter @_Manny30 for the latest sports updates. And you all have a great day today.